Hey there! Welcome to S News. If you want to keep up with the latest breaking stories and in-depth analysis, make sure to follow us so you won't miss this or any of our future videos. And, it really helps us out if you support us by subscribing, liking, and leaving your thoughts in the comments. While Russia is drowning in the chaos of war and China is struggling with a global trust crisis, the West, led by President Donald Trump, has rewritten the rules of the global economy. In a major announcement, President Trump revealed a huge deal with Japan, marking a new chapter in the US-Japan alliance and sending a strong economic message to Beijing. The power balance has clearly shifted. At the same time, Vietnam continues to shine on the global investment map. Samsung just announced a massive expansion project there, 6 new factories, 87,000 jobs, and projected revenue of $62 billion. It's a clear sign of confidence in Vietnam's investment climate. For the first time ever, a product made entirely in Vietnam has entered top global markets like the US and Europe, not under the VinFast brand, but as a symbol of Vietnam's growing technological sovereignty. In a surprising twist, Elon Musk has been momentarily sidelined to make room for Nvidia's CEO, who's emerging as a key strategic link between the US and China. All of this is unfolding under Trump's leadership, as he repositions the great powers on the global chessboard. Now let's dive into the latest hot updates. Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald Trump has just officially announced a historic trade agreement with Japan. This deal marks a deepening strategic partnership between the world's two largest economies.
We just sealed a massive trade deal with Japan, maybe the biggest ever.
According to early details, the US will impose a reciprocal 15% tariff on Japanese imports. In return, Japan has pledged to invest up to $550 billion in the US economy, an unprecedented figure in the history of trade relations between the two countries. Trump also stated that the US stands to gain up to 90% of the profits from this agreement. Beyond that, the deal is expected to generate hundreds of thousands of new jobs and push Japan to open its markets to American cars, trucks, rice and agricultural goods, a major breakthrough. The final version of the agreement is still being drafted, but both Washington and Tokyo view it as a game-changer, one that ushers in a new era of fairer, more beneficial trade cooperation for American workers and businesses. Earlier, Trump had harshly criticized Japan for refusing to import US rice, even as it faces food shortages. Stats show Japan only imported $298 million worth of American rice last year, tiny compared to its market size. Even the Japanese auto sector, one of the country's industrial cornerstones, was brought into negotiations by Trump without compromise. Japan claimed it had imported over 16,700 American vehicles last year, but Trump insisted on fair treatment for US automakers. Ultimately, Japan had to agree to these terms before any deal could move forward. Trump had previously warned that unless Japan came to the table, the US would impose 30% tariffs on Japanese goods starting January 1st. While his tough talk drew media criticism for raising tensions, it clearly worked. The deal was struck on Trump's terms. US Treasury Secretary Scott Benn also traveled to Tokyo and met with Prime Minister Sugaro Ishiba to launch early negotiations and hammer out the details.
Unlike recent US trade deals with countries like Indonesia or the Philippines, Japan is a major trade partner, exporting $148 billion worth of goods to the US last year, mainly cars, machinery, and industrial equipment.
But under Trump's direct leadership, the US regained the upper hand and got Japan to play by fair rules. America also exports nearly $800 billion in goods to Japan, including oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, and space technology. All sectors expected to boom once the new deal is in place. Japan is currently the largest foreign holder of US debt, owning more than $1.1 trillion in treasury bonds. That makes Trump's negotiation victory even more impressive and strategic. Once again, Donald Trump, a leader who isn't afraid to challenge opponents and always puts American interests first, has shown that tough but principled negotiations get real results. This isn't just a trade deal, it's a win for America.
Vietnam has really become the star of global manufacturing as supply chains shift from China. Samsung has raked in $62 billion in revenue, As President Trump pushes to cut U.S. supply chain ties with China, South Korean tech giant Samsung has picked Vietnam as its new strategic hub. Samsung now operates 6 factories, an R&D center, and a sales arm in Vietnam, creating over 87,000 jobs, bringing in $62.5 billion in revenue in 2024 and generating $54.4 billion in exports. In Bac Ninh, one of northern Vietnam's major industrial zones, Samsung isn't just boosting the high-tech sector, it's providing stable jobs for over 45,000 workers. It's also built an ecosystem with over 70 top-tier suppliers, with a combined transaction volume of $3.3 billion. At a business meeting on May 21st, Samsung Vietnam's general director, Mr. Ngoc Ju Hung, reaffirmed the company's long-term commitment to Vietnam. He stressed Samsung's plans to expand investment and support Bac Nhinh's development as a key manufacturing base in the post-China era. Samsung also wants to help train skilled workers and promote global scientific and technological collaboration. Bac Ninh Province Governor Phuong Quoc Tuan promised to ensure stable electricity for Samsung's factories and said local officials are ready to support the country's largest foreign investor. The province is also preparing to launch several major infrastructure projects, including the Gia Binh International Airport and a high-speed rail connection, paving the way for a new wave of industry that's no longer dependent on China.
Samsung is seen as a symbol of the global supply chain shift out of China, a strategy set in motion by President Trump. And now, it's Vietnam, not Beijing, that's emerging as America's closest manufacturing partner and a rising star on the global map.
If China continues to decline, Vietnam may well become the world's new factory.
Musk fades, Nvidia rises as Washington-Beijing bridge. Elon Musk has been pushed aside. In the Trump era, Nvidia's CEO has emerged as the new strategic bridge between the world's 2 biggest economies. Once seen as China's go-to voice in Washington, Musk appears to have lost that status as tensions grew between him and President Trump. China is now turning to a new figure, Jensen Huang, Nvidia's CEO. Back in summer 2018, Nvidia posted a now famous photo of Musk stepping out of a red Tesla in front of Quang Cat near Zhongnanhai, the heart of Chinese leadership. He just had a friendly meeting with then Vice President Wang Qishan and wrote on social media about a deep conversation they had on philosophy and fate. Ever since, Musk had strong ties with Beijing, especially as he kept investing in Tesla's gigafactory in Shanghai and often praised China's business environment despite rising political tensions. But by 2025, after Trump's return to the White House, Musk began distancing himself. Chinese officials grew nervous about Musk's uncertain position in Washington and started looking for someone more stable and less politically entangled. Enter Jensen Huang, whose company, Nvidia, is now worth over $4 trillion. Unlike Musk, Huang has handled Washington carefully. He met directly with President Trump in July, along with top officials in trade and national security. As a result, Nvidia was granted permission to resume exporting its H20 chip series to China, even though those chips had previously been restricted under Trump's national security rules. Huang hasn't been shy in criticizing export restrictions, saying the U.S. has underestimated China's tech capabilities. But he's also made it clear it's better for American-made AI chips to power China's open-source platforms like DeSer Queen rather than letting Chinese brands like Huawei dominate. It's a strategic stance. Protect U.S. interests while maintaining some access to China's AI race. Without Nvidia, Huang reminded the world, China is still far behind in AI. Lily from the China Analysis Center at the Center for Strategic and International Studies put it this way: business leaders like Jensen Huang are the moderates balancing out the hawks in Washington. Huang brings together personal influence, deep tech knowledge, and global strategic value. And unlike Tesla, which relies heavily on China, 40% of sales and over half its production, Nvidia is more independent. Even before the export bans, only 13% of Nvidia's revenue came from China. This gives Huang flexibility to engage or back off without putting his company at risk. That aligns perfectly with Trump's America First strategy, where every tech or trade deal must bring real benefits to the U.S. Allowing Nvidia to continue selling to China isn't a soft move, it's a strategic play. It lets America keep its grip on AI technology while blocking China from developing critical tech on its own. Nvidia's booming non-chip business has also boosted U.S. stock markets, another big political win for Trump in his second term. It's clear, Elon Musk is no longer Beijing's favorite Western tech titan. That role now belongs to Jensen Huang, head of the world's most valuable company and the new bridge between the U.S. and China. But in Trump's America, no one gets to be that bridge unless they serve America's interests first.
Finally, thank you so much for listening to S News. We hope you found this video insightful. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and comment. And don't forget to